Hey, how's everyone doing? I'm Steve.
And I'm Kia.
And welcome to On the Ring Apron, where we're running a couple of days behind here. You know, we run normal lives like everyone else. Issues with neighbors, therapy appointments for the little one.
Doctor's appointments.
Yep, ball games. It all comes with the territory.
And then keeping the house, making sure it stays clean.
I thought with celebrity status, I thought we weren't supposed to have to deal with these things. I mean, I know we're like D-list on there. We're definitely not, getting invited to the Kardashians anytime soon, but... I at least thought, things would, the celebrity life wouldn't involve all the, the piddly stuff, but it doesn't work that way, apparently.
No, we're not just D-listers, we're still parents, and we still have things we gotta do.
Yeah, but the A-listers, like the Kardashians, they have people for this.
That's the Kardashians. We're not the Kardashians. We will never be the Kardashians.
I just want their money. I just want their bank account.
Okay. So,
either way, we're here. We're, again, do extend our condolences for being 2 days late on our normal show. We usually do this on Fridays, but, sometimes life gets in the way. So, but we're here to, not talk about what's going on in our world. We're here to talk about wrestling and what happened in WWE this week as we start moving forwards toward Clash of Champions coming up in a couple of weeks. We
came off a Payback, and it was just... Ever since then, I've been up, down with my emotions. I can tell you...
That's a rough term to use considering the news of this week.
So anyway, we'll get further into that.
We'll get into that in a second.
But the fact that I've been in my emotions, it's a good thing because it tells me that the writing is going upward, and I'm having to scream at my TV, cry in the shower, over some things that I saw this past week.
Gentlemen, enjoy that image.
And then just like a bunch of other things. But let's go ahead and get into it.
As always, we start with Monday Night Raw. The main storyline this week on Raw was finding out who is going to be the new #1 contender for Drew McIntyre's WWE Championship at Clash of Champions. You ended up having 3 singles matches that would be set up where the winners of those 3 matches would move into the main event of the night, which would be a triple threat to determine who would be the one to get McIntyre. First of the matches was Randy Orton going one-on-one with Kevin Owens, with a match that didn't technically last too long because Owens would get blindsided by a very surprising person.
Is that why Randy Orton came out of, Black's dressing room? Because I was wondering what was going on and what was the plan for that, and, we finally got our answer.
Yep. So we end up seeing the setup. Of course, Aleister Black runs out, ends up attacking Kevin Owens before the match, hits him with a black mass. Ultimately, Owens unable to really fight that well once the bell actually rung. Orton wins rather quickly and advances. It was originally supposed to be Seth Rollins taking on Rey Mysterio, but Rey ends up getting injured in his tag team match with his son at Payback. So Rey unable to compete for a few weeks, so it's going to end up being Dominic, who looks like he'll be getting most of Rey's matches during that period of time. Dominic goes out against Seth, gives the best he can, but just not enough.
But who better than to compete in your father's place than your very own son? That's just like passing of the torch, in my opinion.
Well, they did what they needed to do, and Dominic, is doing very well for a person who's very brand new to this, He has jumped right into the scene and has absolutely put himself into this great story with Seth Rollins. Rollins is putting him over as great as he can. Ultimately, they're not ready to give Dominic, a shot at the WWE Championship quite yet.
He's got a long way to go.
So ultimately, Seth advances over Dominic.
Yay!
And then you end up getting the final match of the evening, which ended up being Keith Lee, who, of course, coming off his win over Randy Orton this past weekend at Payback, he ends up getting a match with... Come on. You don't remember who he faced?
No. That's just me getting older. Who was it?
Check your notes. I'm pretty sure it's Dolph, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, that pretty blonde boy. Yeah, that's exactly who it was.
I just wanted to see how awake she was. We're doing this early in the day, so, it is what it is.
My coffee hadn't kicked in yet.
Not yet. But ultimately, Lee, as you expected, gets the win over Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler ends up heading to Underground to fight down there for the rest of the night. But, it sets up a very good triple threat match. You get Keith Lee, you get Randy Orton, you get Seth Rollins. With essentially Lee getting, exactly what you'd expect. He gets the good push. He gets the good shoulder play here. Does all the work, lays out Rollins only to eat an RKO immediately afterwards, and Orton steals the pin from the Spirit Bomb to pick up the win.
But that is the mindset of a veteran who's been here, who's seen it all, who's done it all. Randy Orton used everything and everyone to his advantage to get where he needed to get to be able to get back to Drew. So in my opinion, great job, Randy. I'm not saying I'm picking you, but great job, just the whole mentality and getting there.
Well, also the idea that Randy Orton has essentially been set up, like you just mentioned, as the veteran, and he is making Keith Lee look like an absolute tank out there. You know, every time he gets hit, Orton flies 3/4 of the way across the ring. He had one where he got shoulder blocked by Lee and ends up in like the barricade, like 25 feet behind him. He is making Lee look as powerful as possible. And, you know, they're not sitting here just handing everything to Keith Lee in terms of victories right now, but it's clear that he is going to be here and he's going to be in the title hunt very soon.
But, you know, Keith Lee, being who he is, wants to work for everything. He doesn't want everything handed to him, and that to me shows a good competitor, good spirit, and just all-around good nature. And to fight one of the best they have on this roster, it's just great.
Well, one of the surprising title changes that we saw at Payback was the women's tag team titles changing hands as we have new champions in the forms of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. If you haven't seen the plate exchange, go take a look because their plates are up there, including Shayna's plates as well. But we ended up needing to crown new #1 contenders on Monday Night Raw. And you mentioned earlier about how we got in our feels, and this was the first of those feels, as there ended up being a Payback rematch from the kickoff show.
Yeah,
the reformed Riot Squad of Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott taking on the Iconics, with the winning team becoming #1 contenders.
And the losing team, what?
The losing team would have to disband.
Separate.
So, you know, because the Riot Squad, of course, you know, a team that, you know, was together, broke up, kind of still putting all the pieces back together, but a lot of people are getting behind them. The Iconics, no mystery, they've been together since they wrestled in Australia. 15 plus years, they've been together virtually every step of the way. It ends up being the Riot Squad who gets the victory, which means the Iconics are no more. I'm sure that breaks your heart.
It doesn't
Don't
break
root
my
for them
heart.
now.
You've never. First of all, it doesn't break my heart. Second of all, I'm pulling for my girls. I love the Riot Squad. Even though Sarah's not part of the Riot Squad, we know that she's with them and, you know, good vibes and everything. I'm pulling for Ruby and Liv to get it done. Go start that riot.
Well, we're going to have to find out because that's a tall task having to take on Nia and Shayna, assuming that they could survive the rematch against the Golden Role Models on Friday. We'll be getting to that in a second, speaking of feels.
Goodness.
Ultimately, it does break up the Iconics. It looks like potentially starts the first run of Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir down in Underground, as Peyton would essentially turn on Billy down in Underground and would feed Billy to the two MMA fighters.
Fish bait.
Yep, pretty much.
Well, they're not, like you said, they're not a team no more, so it don't matter at this point.
Exactly. And, you know, what did Shane say? What happens in Underground stays in Underground. So, you know, either way, it looks like that may be potentially where they're heading. I've been saying, and I've been an advocate, that I think both of them deserve some singles pushes. My opinion, I think Peyton Royce has a little bit of a better capacity to be able to be a singles competitor. I don't necessarily know about Billy. I know she can compete, but it's always been in a tag team format. Let's see how they do as singles competitors.
I think they'll both do well. Like you stated, and I've said it too, I think one will stay on the main roster, and I think the better one, in my opinion, will stay on the main roster.
Notice how she mentions no names.
And the one that is a little bit weaker will go back to NXT to improve, and maybe we might see them back, if that's the storyline that they decide to run. But we'd have to wait and see.
We'll see how it turns out. Of course, we also crowned a new United States champion at Payback. That is now the almighty Bobby Lashley, my Denver guy. You know, and he's getting ready to set up into his next storyline of who his next competitor is going to be. It likely will be Apollo Crews again.
That's my guy.
But essentially, you know, the storyline behind the Hurt Business this week being that they're still trying to actively recruit more people to the Hurt Business, and it's very possible that they're eyeballing either Ricochet and or Cedric Alexander, if really for no other reason than to just kind of stick it to Apollo to get his friends to turn on him.
I see it the way I looked at it and the way I viewed it. I see them going for not Ricochet, but more like Cedric to kind of break up that team, the little tag team that they got on, the little duo they've got going. I see them breaking up that, and then like Ricochet might be a little jealous of the fact if Cedric takes the deal and decides to go with the Hurt Business, but we don't know.
And then Monday Night Raw ends up ending with they took about a week and a half off, but a reappearance of Retribution as they interrupt the main event of the second to main event of the evening, which involved the Street Profits. Zelina Vega ended up getting laid outside. Angel Garza tries to go save Bachelorette Demi in the back, but it didn't last very long.
He ran after he sat here and said, "I will protect you. I don't want nothing to happen to you." And the moment he saw them, he went zoom. He was out.
Well, either way, kind of what you expected, but ultimately Retribution laying waste to everyone again. It does look like, there was an article that came out that says that Retribution appears like it's going to be primarily just on Monday Night Raw now. It looks like.
I wonder why.
Well, one of the best tweets I saw, and I don't remember, but I'm going to try to see if I can find it. But someone said they saw heel Roman at
that's
at Payback and said, we ain't dealing with that shit.
Especially when you have Heyman in your corner. No, I'm done.
Like Roman will come lay out all of Retribution by himself.
His shirt said it. Wreck everyone, leave.
Yep. But you end up, a decent Monday Night Raw. I'm going to say the weakest of the three shows, but it wasn't because it was, anything bad.
No.
It just, the other two shows just stepped up. But, you've got some good runs, a couple of weeks, before Monday Night Raw. Eventually we get to Clash of Champions, definitely one of my favorite pay-per-views because, of course, every championship on the line is its run. We get a chance to potentially see, some new champions and some new championship matches. The one thing I hate, though, is the fact that the storyline historically has always been that the Clash of Champions pay-per-view, every title is defended, but very rarely is it changed over.
But we'll have to wait and see. You never know, and it might work well for your plate exchange.
Maybe. Hey, I might just move the table out here and take that. And for anyone who hasn't seen the two recent plate exchanges, go back onto our channel and take a look. We've got new plates for a whole bunch of different champions. All the NXT titles, minus the main one, has got new plates. We've got the new tag team champions, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. We've got their plates on there.
That's my favorite. I'm just going to kill it all out. That's my favorite.
So take a second to go back and take a look. I thought they turned out really well. But speaking of NXT, let's move over there. There really wasn't a ton in terms of number of matches to talk about because we, of course, knew that going into this week there was going to be the 1-hour Ironman match to determine the new NXT champion. But there were a couple of setup matches beforehand.
Yes.
You end up, of course, needing to figure out who your next contenders against Breezango are going to be. So you end up, getting a couple of tag team matches in there. We need to find out who Damian Priest is going to be facing for his North American Championship. Right now I could argue Cameron Grimes. I could argue Bronson Reed.
If you bring up that grimy person one more time, I swear to God.
I just want his hat. We've said this already.
That's about all that I want, and I want to clean it.
To the moon.
I want to clean it before I put it on my head.
And, of course, we've got Io Shirai still as the women's champion. We got to find out where that's going to go next. Is Dakota going to be able to accept the loss that she took at the recent takeover? Or, is there more to it? And then, of course, the big story coming out of it is Rhea Ripley finally getting tired of the Robert Stone brand and primarily Mercedes Martinez getting in her business. Rhea, of course, power bombing Mercedes onto concrete a couple of weeks ago. Mercedes comes out and costs Rhea and ultimately Io Shirai a tag team match in which it also involved Dakota and Raquel Gonzalez. And Rhea's finally said, I'm done with you getting in my business, so next week we're settling this, and we're settling it inside of a steel cage.
Man, that Rhea, she is so tough, but both women, my God, like Mercedes and Rhea, that match, I cannot wait to see. I'm all for it. I don't even know who I'm pulling for, so don't even ask, because I love both women. Both women are strong. Both women are tough. We've seen both competitors in the Mae Young Classic, and it's just in a cage. Who do you think that favors?
I honestly could go either way because both of these are, very much powerhouse, very much thing, and it's going to keep the Robert Stone brand members as well as Rhea's, friends at bay
Bayside,
by keeping them away from the ring, which is going to finally allow the two of them to settle up, hopefully settle up and settle things because Rhea has made it very clear, I'm all about winning back my NXT Women's Championship. It's been 6 months since Mania. I lost my one rematch. We're closing in on 6 months. That was in early April, and we're now in September, so we're closing in.
Gosh, time goes fast.
It does, even during all these weird, stressful times. But, it is what it is. So, they're finally going to get to settle that. That's likely your second main event next week. But, of course, the main event ends up being, because of the events of the Ironman match, a very, very well thought out, but, you get, an hour's worth of match. You see the, the lack of stamina from some of them because it is a longer match. We know all are capable of being able to go an hour. but ultimately only one pinfall each until the final maybe 30 seconds, 20 seconds of the match. Finn Balor ends up getting a pinfall with about 25 seconds left, but then because I think he thought he'd just run out the rest of the clock, ends up staying prone, ends up eating a last shot from Cole, who gets a pin with just seconds remaining.
We told you.
We said, we put it here, ding dong.
Ding dong.
We said it right here on our show last week that I picked Adam Cole and she picked Finn Balor, and I guess ultimately we kind of both win because of the fact that they drew next week on Super Tuesday 2. They will end up having a one-on-one match, and we will finally crown our NXT champion. Which
will be Finn. The Prince needs his crown and his title.
I still got Cole as well. We need to, and the thing about it is, in a match that, was, number one for the new championship, but also with it being a fatal four-way, there was no disqualifications, no countouts. You saw no weapons. You saw no undisputed era.
Well, it was a very clean, hard earned, well put together fight. So I liked it, and I think it was great. I was just kind of blowed at the last shot, and my baby got pinned.
Well, I also like how, they ran it to where, if you go back and actually watch the final pinfall from Adam Cole, Finn ended up going down, but then he kind of made himself dead weight, and made Cole have to try to work through getting to pin him because he knew there was only a handful of seconds left on the clock, and Finn's like, yeah, I got hit, but if he can't flip me over to pin me, then I could still win even if I'm knocked out.
That's smart mentality. That's
well,
thinking.
I don't necessarily know. Was he smart or was it just he was knocked out? And it's just kind of how it turned out. But Cole got it done.
I take it as being smart. You can take it however you want to. I'm just excited to see both guys. Finally. Is Adam Cole going to get his title back, or is Finn going to be able to take that title?
Well, Cole proved that he can, carry the championship, on his own, even
sure
without Undisputed Era, 400 plus days as champion, so that you're very capable of being able to put the title on him. But then also, Finn Balor's been back a year now, and you're still trying to put him back. You haven't put any gold on him yet. He's won some big matches at TakeOver. Is it time to finally put the Prince back on the top of the NXT throne?
Yes, I think so.
And of course, a plate exchange coming immediately afterwards. So keep an eye on that on Tuesday for who's going to be the new champ.
I will be gladly doing that one, unlike some in the past that
so
I haven't done.
You heard it here, okay? If Finn wins, she's doing plate exchange. You heard it here. So we'll see.
I didn't say that. I said I was going to record.
We're go back, replay it, rewind about 10 seconds.
Fine. I'll do it if that's what.
You want to pull out John Cena's FCW, rewind it here.
Fine. If it means I've seen you do it plenty of times, I think I could do it.
Well, you heard it here first, okay? If Finn wins, she's doing plate exchange. That means I get questions with the Queen once, right?
No, you still get to record your own show, but you don't know.
I get to record it and watch it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Playing the role of Steve this week is a far better looking version of him. So go figure. But either way, a great match coming up on NXT.
Yes.
You get two of them technically. You get the Rhea Martinez match, and then you also get the Finn Balor and Adam Cole match to determine the new NXT champion.
I'm excited. I can't wait for Tuesday. I literally can't wait for Tuesday.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. But hey, We've stalled out as long as we could. We're at 18 minutes on this recording. We finally got to get to Smackdown, and this is where the feels and everything are going to take in. If you haven't watched Smackdown, normally I discourage us from ever giving you a reason to walk away from our show. If you've taken the time to watch, we appreciate it. We love y'all. Our following has been amazing. But if you haven't watched Smackdown and you don't know what's happened, I encourage you, pause this video and go watch Smackdown first.
Yeah, go watch the whole entire thing from start to
seriously,
finish.
we'll sit here and we'll wait.
He might. I'm not. I've got to go eat. But take the time, like you said, pause.
Okay, you paused and did it? Okay, good.
Now we're back.
Okay, so everybody watching now knows what's happened on Smackdown. So when we say we were in our feels, you now know what we're talking about. Because our feelings... Really, our emotions came into play on multiple occasions during this week's SmackDown. It began with, of course, the news that today that SmackDown was Xavier Woods' birthday, and the announcement that he has been medically cleared to return.
Yay!
He's been gone almost actually a little over a year.
Really?
That's hard to believe he's been gone that long. And Kofi and Big E have been holding the fort down.
Yeah.
And then Big E as of late. So for the second year in a row, a storyline where he gets some cake out there, and here's where her
Man.
feelings may have hurt the most.
Man, you don't ever waste good food, good dessert, if it's food, you don't waste it in this household. My mind was blown, my heart was broken, and that was...
So was that windshield that Big E got thrown through, so...
To my brother Big E, you
Because they
strong.
said, of course, Xavier's here, and Big E, going out there to, quote, find his narrow ass, and ultimately it's Sheamus who ends up beating up Big E backstage, and then ends up putting him with a white noise through a windshield to ultimately end up taking Big E out of what would be the main event that evening. We'll get to that in a second. But
Lord.
the fact is, now all three New Day members getting laid out. And it's setting up a very good singles match, hopefully either on Smackdown or potentially a Clash of Champions between Big E and Sheamus, who of course have already gone head-to-head once with Big E, picking up the win at Payback.
Yeah, so is it turnaround and fair play? Is it going to be Sheamus that wins this upcoming Clash of Champions?
Well, the fact is, it just tells you Sheamus didn't take the loss very well.
No, he took it like a spoiled, petulant child, like a couple other people.
Why does he have to dress like a hobo whenever he's backstage? I mean, I
thought it was a newsboy look. I don't think it was really a hobo.
The suspenders, the nice hat. I do like the hat. I will say that. But
what is it? The baller hat? No.
It's a bowler.
That's exactly what it is. So.
Bowler, I'm pretty sure, is for English guys who drink tea. Somebody correct me on that. Rhea, Rhea Riptide, if you're watching tonight, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
So, but I like the whole look. I just don't like the whole he took it the wrong way and now he's attacking Big E. And Big E getting put through that windshield. But nice car.
So that already had us in our feelings ahead of time. You end up, of course, and then, we got to recover for about 20 minutes before it eventually got us to our second feels of the evening. As we mentioned earlier, the Golden Role Models, Bayley and Sasha, getting their rematch for the women's tag team titles against Nia and Shayna. What ended up being a fantastic match with both sides really getting the upper hand to where you truly didn't know who was going to get the win in this one. There was no team that really felt like they had the upper hand.
I'm on
it was Shayna at Payback who, did, the majority of the work towards the end.
Beautiful.
It's Nia who steps in this time. And you can tell it's Nia and Shayna are still competing like two individuals, but they're starting to get it together that, if we actually do trust each other, we could be champions for a long time. Nia ends up with a splash off the top rope, pinning both Sasha and Bayley at the same time. So Nia and Shayna retain, but that's not where the story was. It was after the match is where the feelings started kicking in.
What I want to say, and you understand, this is coming from a good place. I'm a huge fan of Sasha, and I like Bayley, but I loved the fact that you saw, and if you haven't, go see it, you saw Sasha literally get up each and every time on a hurt knee, because you could tell that knee that's what they were favoring at the point, that knee, and she kept getting up, and she kept moving, she kept going, and it's like, only a legit boss could do some stuff like that and be great. But getting to the very end of the match,
you end up. They end up even going to a commercial break. During the time that Sasha, who's of course has injured her knee badly.
Yeah.
And Bayley is there helping her. She's waiting.
Friends.
And everything else. And then, in a very retrospective play, if you go back to an elimination tag team match 2 years ago, there was an infamous scene where Sasha and Bayley had been working together to try to beat Alexa Bliss when they were competing for the championship. And Sasha, of course, had Bayley, carrying her onto the pot and then kicked her back off. Well, turnabout fair play. As Sasha is exiting the ring, the breakup we've been talking about for 6 months, it finally happens.
Wasn't it like a hug? I think it was a hug or leaving the ring or something like that. And
Well, no, Sasha was trying to climb out of the ring, and as she got onto the ring apron, we said it. She kicks Sasha in the side of the head, and finally it happens.
Oh my God!
The snap finally happens.
And it looked like she was enjoying this. It's like all this time in her mind, it was like, I feel like you've been holding me back. We're friends. That's great, but I'm here to win titles. I'm here to make the money.
I'm here to be a winner, and as long as I can be a winner with you,
I can't keep carrying you. Is what.
Exactly it. Quit looking at me like that. I'm not going to keep carrying you. I'm not going to. I am the champion. I've been the champion. As of the recording of this day, 470 of the last 475 days, Bayley has been the SmackDown Women's Champion.
And as much as I'm not like a sheep, she's doing very well. And then the fact is, you see this turn. I always thought it was going to be Sasha because I felt like, Sasha needs this moment. She deserves this moment. I want to see a heel Sasha, do the damn thing. She's strong.
Her and I have always differed on this. There was never, ever a question in my mind it would ultimately be Bayley would be the one that would snap. in the end, because you've seen Sasha for years has always been the one that ultimately turned on Bayley. But you look back at the events of this. I mean, Sasha kicking her off Elimination Chamber, kicking her off the chamber, ultimately it being, just them, pushing each other back and forth, putting each other into bad situations. But it's Bayley that ultimately, taps out, but then blames Sasha for doing so. It's always been Sasha that has been the one that has always, really made Bayley into the heel that she is. You even go back to look at the moment that Bayley officially turned heel when Sasha handed her the chair, hitting Becky Lynch, going back about a year ago. And, Bayley enjoyed every second of it, but it's been Sasha who ultimately made Bayley into the heel she is. And now not only has it now backfired on Sasha, Bayley is now probably even a bigger heel than she is.
It's scary, but you could see, she had the enjoyment. She was loving this, and the fact, and by the way, she looked very cute with the wing liner. I've got to mention that. But the fact that she enjoyed it, go back and look at her face. It's like the agony that Sasha was feeling, she could not feel that.
Well, also the idea of the chair at the end around Sasha's neck, the idea that, not only am I going to take you out, but I'm also going to try to end your career right here.
I'm going to put you on the shelf.
If you had told me... Let's rewind a year. If you had told me a year ago that Bayley would be the top heel in WWE 1 year ago, would you have ever believed it?
No, because she was such a hugger and she loved her fans.
Way.
I cannot see it. I'm still... It's a hard time. I'm fathoming.
And I'm saying this even when she did turn heel, even when she did turn on Charlotte, and won back her championship in her heel role, I still said... Okay, good. She's heel. Let's see what they can do with this. But, there's zero question. I don't believe there's any debate across any of the three brands. She's the top heel right now.
I thought it was going to be just temporary and she'll go back to be a hugger. And right now she's proven me wrong. She hasn't. She won't. And, I don't blame her if she's trying to hold a title.
And then, of course, we could sit here and talk for half an hour just on that alone. And for anybody who wants to hear us talk more about that, let us know, and we'll be happy to throw a special out there just about this, because this has been the breakup that has honestly been 5 years in the making, and it's been teased so many times, and they've been so close to doing it, but they never pulled the trigger on it. They finally pulled the trigger on it. We know where this is heading. We've known for a while this is where it's heading. The only question is, are they going to bring Sasha back for Hell in a Cell? Are they going to hold her all the way to Royal Rumble? Are they going to just say, hey, somehow Sasha's going to get her at Mania? When does this, this brawl happen? It's built for WrestleMania. Hell, in my opinion, it's built as the main event of WrestleMania.
And if y'all
the question is, is that where they're going to go with it?
If they don't do this match right, do it justice, both women deserve that platform. I'm not saying it because we've seen it with women in the past or over the last couple of years. These two, you better give it to them, because if you don't, you're going to have a lot of people pissed.
Well, right now, there's only one storyline that, in my opinion, if you had to set WrestleMania right now, the only match that you could set up that would take the main event spot from Sasha Bayley would be with our new Universal Champion, and that would be with this heel Roman Reigns run that we're seeing. He's come in, now has paired himself up with Paul Heyman, which makes him even more dangerous. But it's not like, everyone who's shocked that he teamed up with Heyman.
It's been a long time.
But this isn't new.
No,
Heyman
it's not.
Going all the way back to WrestleMania 31, going all the way back to San Francisco, has sat here and touted Roman Reigns as the future of this business.
Yeah.
And he's been on the opposite side with Brock Lesnar, but it's because Lesnar and, working with Lesnar, he's gotten a chance to be up close and personal with Reigns on so many occasions, because every time Lesnar gets a run, it's typically either Reigns or Rollins that's standing there on the other side waiting.
Again, I did not see it coming. When we saw what we saw at Payback, it was just, everything was great, and then out of nowhere, here he comes, and it's like, glad to have him back, glad to see him back in the capacity that, that we're having to go through, but damn.
But, the thing about it is, and we keep talking about, being in the feels for Smackdown, amidst the sad feels of Big E and Sasha Banks being laid out,
and the cake.
we got... And the cake, yes, she's mad about the cake. We got a great feel at the end. And when I say great feel, we're talking like jumping around our living room, fist pumping, everything. Big E being removed from the main event match, which was a fatal four-way to determine Roman Reigns' matchup at Clash of Champions. It ends up being Roman Reigns' cousin, Jey Uso, who ends up benefiting from the spot. You end up finding out it's Paul Heyman who put him in.
Yep.
And ultimately Jey Uso, who of course has been tag team wrestling through and through for his entire career in WWE, is going to get a match for the Universal Championship at Clash of Champions against his cousin Roman Reigns.
penitentiary on the map, man. Yes! Juicy, oozy juicy.
That's, but I mean, and it's going to be interesting because, the reason why, if you're looking at it in storyline that Paul Heyman put him in this match is because he assumes that Roman can just mow through Jay easily, and on paper he can. But this is where you're going to truly see what kind of a heel Roman can be, because
oh my God,
if he goes out there and destroys his own flesh and blood to keep that championship, it tells you just exactly how far Roman has gone. They absolutely have the capacity to make him the top heel in the company, and they've done it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and that'll just like, I could not see it, but we've seen Nikki and Brie turn on each other. So I mean,
but it wasn't to this capacity.
But it's only a matter of time. I want to see how far Roman will go to keep that title, and is he going to put his flesh and blood out there, like leave him to dry?
And of course, the other flip side of the coin, in a separate storyline that we're not going to go too much into tonight because we've already been talking a while. They are starting to mention Otis's Money in the Bank contract again, which of course nets him a Universal Championship match at any time. What if Roman goes into this cocky? What if he goes into this assuming I'm just going to cruise and Jay catches him? Again, you only need 3 seconds. Jay catches him, but then Roman, you want him to truly get that really big push. He absolutely destroys his own family, to get it. You maybe have, maybe a Jimmy comes back, to be able to kind of take the fight, but he gets laid out too. You really want to piss folks off, bring Trinity out, and have her get laid out, and then that opens the door for Otis to be able to successfully cash in for a little while, because I'll tell you right now, he ain't cashing in on Roman Reigns.
But what I love, since we're talking about the whole storyline with Otis and cashing in, I like the fact that,
the lunchbox.
What is it? Morrison thought he was going to actually be able to cash in because he held the title. Miz had to correct him. You were not the Money in the Bank winner. That's not going to happen. He's thinking the contract's in the box. What do we find when we open it?
There was a stapler and a sandwich.
Yep.
There's something else in there as well. I can't remember what was the last item.
I thought it was very smart. I don't remember. I thought it was very smart that Otis actually took the contract, because it proves right there Otis is not dumb. He's
right.
making sure
He knew that everybody would be gunning at his briefcase, so he kept it in the lunchbox. But the fact that they're mentioning it again kind of gives you the idea that it could happen. And like I said, I mean, what if you see something? So, I mean, I'm the person right now, I don't condone gambling per se, but, if I'm a wagering man, the odds are going to be so deep on Jey Uso winning this match against Roman Reigns with this push that is just silly enough and just deep, or, far-fetched enough that I'd consider putting a little money on Jey in case he pulls the shocker. Like I said, then you get Roman with the ultimate heel push, and then Otis gets his cash in. Of course, Roman will win it back likely, but
then who would be the biggest heel on SmackDown at this point? Would it be Roman or would it be Bayley?
See, that's the problem, and that's for y'all to debate. Who is the biggest heel right now? Is it Roman Reigns as Universal Champion, or is it Bayley as SmackDown Women's Champion? But let's call it this way: the best storylines right now are on SmackDown, and I wouldn't have said that. I remember a month ago we had an episode right here where we said SmackDown was boring as mess tonight, and we haven't even discussed The Fiend. He's got a new friend coming in next week. We haven't discussed Alexa twirling her hair and going back to her pigtails look. We didn't discuss any of this. We
still have a lot to go through, but
a long way to go. Who's the actual Intercontinental Champion with Sammy's return, along with the champion Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles saying that neither of you deserve to be champion. So a ton of storyline there, but there's a long way to go, and a lot of fun with a lot of championships going to be decided over these next couple of weeks. But
I'm excited, honestly.
I am as well. We know we're guaranteed at least one title change next week, because we're going to crown a new NXT champion on Tuesday. So look forward to Super Tuesday. But that brings it into our show. Before we do leave, though, of course, as you've heard so many times on here, it is September. It is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, which means it's Connor's Cure time. For those of you who are unaware, Connor, is it Mahalik?
Yeah, Mahalik.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I said it right, because great kid. I cry every time I see his stories.
Yes.
Passed away 6 years ago from pediatric cancer. So the McMahon family, primarily Triple H and Stephanie, creating Connor's Cure, which of course takes proceeds, takes donations to be able to fight pediatric cancer. You see us, we're wearing the armbands. You got a little bit of range here, but we'll move them in. They got Connor's Cure written. We have the little magnetic pins that you can be able to wear. It's got a little magnet on the other side, so you can fit it to any clothing piece that you want, including denim. I tested it the other day. They're all very well made, very well constructed. They cost next to nothing. I mean,
Nope.
by comparison, with 100% of the proceeds going towards Connor's cure. Also, keep an eye out on our channel because I'm in debates, not debates, but in conversations with some folks. For those of you who are aware, we do the plate exchange, and we do have some plates that people have asked about it. So we're debating doing some stuff for some Connor's Cure stuff with my plates later this month as well, and we're going to see how that proceeds up. But if you've got an opportunity, go to their site. They have a website. WWE has stuff. It's a wonderful, wonderful cause. We consistently put it on here as our fundraising sponsorships. We encourage you guys, even if it's just $1,
Yeah.
take the time to help because every little bit helps.
And also, if you want to be part of this cause outside of donating and you want to be part of Mania Club, you're more than welcome. Speak to Demario North. He will be the best person to get in contact with. It's at me, Demario, correct?
It's a me, Demario.
Across Instagram, Facebook, and I believe Twitter. Look for him, talk to him, say, Kia and Steve mentioned you.
We mentioned Mania Club because their entire concept is our group donating money towards Connor's Cure.
Yeah.
Not just in September, we do it all year long.
All year long.
We put up over $30,000 last year towards this cause. We've already shattered the number we were expecting to do this year with several months still to go. It's a wonderful cause. If you don't know the story about Connor, go look on YouTube. It will absolutely have you in tears.
Yeah.
But we're not necessarily telling you, hey, go give all your money to them. But if you've got an opportunity, go on the site, get yourself an armband, get yourself a pin. I wear this year round, even when it's not September, because I love this cause. I love what they do. Whether you're a wrestling fan or not, this is a good cause. If you want to support anything, this is a wonderful one to be with.
Yeah.
So we're about to cry here, so we're gonna go and take things off the air. Hopefully we'll be back to our standard schedule this upcoming week where we can jump in right after Smackdown. But as we said, life sometimes get in the way, and we gotta handle our business. But that's on the ring apron for this week. Raw Monday, Super Tuesday, a new NXT champion, Smackdown Friday as we get ready as we head towards Clash of Champions later this week. So I'm Steve.
I'm Kia. Y'all have a good rest of the day.
And
Bye.
you guys take it easy. Luckily with